Hello and welcome to another episode of LOC On The Clock, and we're in for a good one because, as you probably saw if you're watching, Chris is literally bouncing, not figuratively or metaphorically, literally bouncing. How's it going, Chris?
I am good. I tell you what, this is the podcast that we always look forward to, because at the beginning of the year we say it's going to be a really close year, this is going to be great, and then when it comes to week 14, it actually is.
Yep.
It actually is. It's this right here, right now, is exciting, and I'm here for it. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, further ado, let's get straight into the recaps. Let's do it.
Whoop.
Recap jingle. Clearly not as excited as we are to get into it, Chris, but nevertheless we're here. So I'll preface how it was entering week 13 before we go through each of the matchups, because we didn't actually really have too many nailed on clinching scenarios. I think depending how things went, it could have virtually clinched a lot of things. But actually, post week 13, there are no more confirmed playoff teams than there were entering week 13 technically. But we will go through and obviously take a look at what the playoff landscape is when we get to it. But we will start with going game by game and obviously see what each team had to do or could have done to potentially help themselves. We'll start off with, obviously, no episode last week, so no marquee matchups, so we'll just go through them in the order they are here. Gridiron Gang versus Ixan. Chris was the first one, so Ben, I think, was effectively eliminated from traditional playoff contention the week before, but just because with the way the wins and things go. But he is still alive to an extent, obviously with the points forward wildcard. He's not in prime position for that, but he's not completely out of the realm of still being in that, and that was the case entering this week as well. Whereas for Gridiron Gang, my team, it was virtually a case of win and in for my team, and there was a few interesting clinching scenarios where if two of me, you, and Mike won, Chris, then it would have basically clinched playoffs for all three of us, more or less. But as you can see, my team here dropped a nail-biter, 92 to 89, and I don't know if this chart's here. You can see just how close this game was, and indeed it came right down to, I think, about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where this little jump from my team here was Travion Henderson rattling off about a 30-yard or something run, which part of that got them into field goal range, and Ben had Borregales, who drained the game-winning field goal for Ben. The Patriots were well ahead by that point, and yes, did seal my fate in this one. So close game, and going forward, Chris, this is going to be known as the Domination Bowl, because Ben is now 18-6 against me all time.
Sure.
Indeed. Looking at the points, when a game's this close, you can point to so many things as being the difference or not the difference. But if we start off on Ben's side, obviously Drake may had a good day with 24. Watson scored on Thanksgiving, one of the many Packers receivers who did with 14. Jonathan Taylor got 12. Karen Williams 13, and Borregales obviously got the 14 as well. Whereas on my side, Colton Sutton, he got 12. He was back to reasonably good form. James Cook got 16. Special teams, defense and kicker, great for me. Myers got 16. The Dolphins did 17. But it's really Lamar Jackson, which was the difference in this one. Only getting 6.54, and I did have Jackson Dart on the bench, and the thought did cross my mind, Chris, to maybe go with that. And obviously, if I did, it would have been the difference. I had the Jags defense at one point. I went with the Dolphins in the end. Would have also been the difference because the Jags got 20 and the Dolphins got 17. But coming back to Jackson, because sometimes in fantasy, Chris, it is very much, as you choose players, you can make the wrong and right decision. Yes, I could have chosen Jackson Dart and I would have got the win. But sometimes it's the player's fault. And I'm not saying this out of bitterness, but in the sense of Isaiah Likely had a fumble right at the goal line on a long pass. Zay Flowers had a pass interference, which was maybe a questionable, where he scored. And I think was it Deontay Walker or some rando Ravens receiver also dropped a bomb that would have pretty much got them in the end zone as well. Not to mention, obviously, Lamar trying to just give the ball to the Bengals seemingly. As we say, when games are this close, many things can be the difference, but it just didn't come off and he had a terrible day. But if one of those things came through, it would have been the difference, Chris, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and this is the third single-digit score for Lamar in the last 3 games. So, this is endemic now of where he is. It doesn't get any easier this week against Pittsburgh. The early part of the season where he was corking off mid-30s points is over, and this has been a really disappointing year for anyone who's owned Lamar Jackson as an owner. But here's the thing, and this is what I want to tell you. A little bit of peek behind the curtain of Ben's team. Now, I saw Ben on Saturday night, and he at that point was going to play Greg Dortch. He was determined he was going to play Greg Dortch.
Really?
Yeah.
He played Q instead, who had like 1 catch in that touchdown. Yep.
Exactly that. Are you sure starting Quentin Johnson's the thing? Yes, it's the thing. So he went for it, and he kept it in there and shot. There we go. 23-yard. Well, I don't think it was a 23-yard touchdown. Anyway, there aren't that many. In fact, it was a 23-yard touchdown. Yeah. That's hilarious. So it's your fault. That's it. So as much as all these permutations that you could have done, there was some advice there. But this is what I would say is a traditional win for Ben. He relied on some good skill positions in his QB and some supporting cast to get him across the line. Yeah, the kicker's gone big, and it could have been more, obviously, with a missing. But whilst yours is a non-traditional route to it, obviously with a massive kicker and D score combined, Cook, who's done well, some decent single-digit scores. But it's just fallen at the end with the QB, and you don't expect Lamar to put numbers up, especially against the Bengals like that. So I think you can be rightly feel burdened on that one. But this is a good time for it to happen in some ways, because at least it's eye-opening for you going into the last, where you've got playing the Bengals again in 15, then New England, then Green Bay. If you go all the way. It's that's a conundrum to face at this stage of the season. So tough luck, but one that could so easily have fallen on a knife edge, and we see that so often in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if Ben would have backed out of Greg Dortch himself when he saw that Marvin Harrison Jr. was playing, because without him, it made sense as a play, to be quite honest, because I think he did score the week before and had a reasonable amount of yardage. But to your point, Chris, it would have been lunacy to play him with Marvin Harrison back, which he indeed was. So next game then was Meg Kitchens great again against Oakland Bears. Again, Meg Kitchens great again. Is still alive, or was it still alive entering the playoffs? Entering this one for the playoffs. He is far behind in points, so basically from the point he was at, he has to win both games and also hope for continued losses by, again, the gaggle of me, you, and Mike. But Ollie did his job. He did indeed pick up a win here, Chris, 103-89, 7-6. So with, I think, my loss, he also needed one of you and Mike to lose as well to keep basically his playoff hopes alive. We'll see how that goes in a second. So taking a look at the teams though, Trevor Lawrence got 26. He also got 17 from CeeDee Lamb, 14 from Bam Knight, nice stream there. Brock Bowers 18 with that ridiculous touchdown catch as well on the Bears. He got 10 to boot. And then for Freddie Pup, a decent day as well himself, obviously. He got 18 out of Bo Nix. 14 from Brees Hall, 20 from Kamani Vidal, who I think he added during the week, because I think he dropped him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, nobody picked him up when it was announced Hampton was out, and Freddie got back to it and played him again. And the Chargers D got 16 points there as well. But obviously not quite enough. History of this one now is 2-0 to Ollie's team. And Ollie keeps himself alive for another week, perplexingly, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the team that doesn't want to die. It's been on life support for a while, and now it's trying to walk out of hospital. Don't get me wrong. There's some matchups in here, I suppose, that you would expect to feast on. Lawrence, Tennessee, I think was the cornerstone of that. They absolutely walked all over the Titans. And again, he's had an on-off relationship with Trevor Lawrence for the season. Jared Goff scored relatively the same amount of points this week. Green Bay, that wasn't a given either. So fair play. with the matchup there. CDs look come back, and Dallas do look electric. In every performance right now, and he's going to be a big part of that. I think that helps because for the difficult part of the season, as it were, he wasn't available. So I think that's easy to forget.
Yeah.
Whilst you're right, Bowers and Ban Knight and Brock Bowers. And Brock Bowers are free. Brock Bowers too good for the Raiders. The Raiders don't know what they've got there.
Yeah.
So he just needs to. I think I said this a couple of weeks ago. The Raiders need to go and trade everybody, go and let them loose, just blow it all up and start. Yeah. He needs to go somewhere that belies his talent. But a really good weird week because it's really from 3 players and a bit of bad night again. Good stream, but a good average score. For Freddie, it's not a bad score either. Actually, 89 on the face of it. It's a pretty much an average score for the week, and great stream. So it wouldn't have been no better if he'd have hadn't picked up Vidal. Having said that, though, it's always an interesting one when you see a bench and you see a wide receiver 1 for a team where you've got the QB opposite and it's on the bench, especially against soft opposition. No one's telling me that Wan'Dale Robinson versus New England is the way to go. So anyway,
the week previous, I think Freddie played, or did he have on his bench Wan'Dale when he blew up? But I obviously fell into that trap as well for many a week. So.
Recency bias on the 21 points. Yes, I see that now. Or Walker against Minnesota, which was always going to be a bit of a wouldn't have changed. Wouldn't have changed the tide of the result, but exactly that. But just going forward, just going tactical. Let's go tactical.
Yep. No, if you're stuck and you don't know what to do with the flex, I do like that approach as well. Just play a pass catcher of your opposing team's quarterback. So
especially Jacoby Myers, who seems to again.
Yeah, he's been good.
Left the Raiders, who are a complete dumpster fire, and he's gone to the Jags, who are less of one, and he's thriving.
Yeah, he is. So Ollie stays alive with that win, but as I say, he needed, with my loss, one of Mike or your team to lose as well to keep the hopes alive. So we'll go on to the Bucking the Trend versus Dream Team game next. So could Mike, basically similar case to my team, I think he entered this week the highest. Yeah, he did the highest scoring team. So regardless, he was in pretty good shape for the points forward wildcard anyway. But again, a win would virtually seal it. But he did not win, Chris. He lost 103 to 88 to the Dream Team, which again, much like Ben beating me, Viv is only alive by way of the points forward wildcard now. Again, ignoring ridiculous wild swings, but we won't entertain that. So looking down the teams, so again, Mike had a relatively decent day, as you say, Chris, on the week as a whole. Score certainly wasn't that bad. Prescott got 25, Pickens got 11, Jamar Chase got 11, and Keyshawn Judkins got 13. It's really JSN that was the difference in this one, I suppose, for Mike, because he's obviously been great all season long. Only 2 points in this one. And he would normally get a lot more than that. It might have been different. But credit to Viv. He got 103. With Jalen Hurts getting 20. Devontae Adams getting 18. Nico getting 17. Chris Rodriguez, who we picked up on waivers, I think he got 10 against the tough 10 Denver D. So again, no stream. Lab McConkey got 10 basically as well. Carmen Ungo was another guy he added during the week. He got 19. So it was really the stream team instead of the dream team this week, if you will, Chris. And the record between these two all time now, bucking the trend, fall to 3-6 against Viv. But obviously, like I say, Chris, Mike is pretty well set to go to the playoffs regardless of what happens. Yes. But he would like to get things in order, ready for the playoffs, I'm sure.
Yeah, and this is a good thing for Mike because he scored 87 points without really scoring a touchdown on his skill positions.
Yeah.
So as a floor, it's good. It's a good floor. That's what you want to see. Viv scored, big time on some of those skill positions over there. Lots of TDs you can see.
Yeah.
Plus, Mike's parked Bucky Irving for reasons I cannot quite understand.
Well, it was his first game back. I get that because and he could have only played him over Josh Jacobs with the 3 wide, or you could add. Yeah, you're not benching Pickens.
But you are benching JSN with that QB in that matchup, no?
I don't think you can bench JSN. You cannot bench JSN this season.
No, sorry. I'm maybe not. I think he's done well throughout the course of the year. I think that's probably a bit of recency for me.
He's like the second or first. Isn't he the highest scoring receiver? What are we doing? He just got 29 points.
Sorry, I'm being an idiot. But I give you that. But Bucky's got to find a home. This is what I'm coming to. That's what I'm coming to. Is that if he can't find a home for him, because I'm not sure that he can. Like, I
don't know how you get him in that lineup. Maybe Judkins, because Judkins is, depending on the game, at risk of being game scripted and just being on a not great offense. That would be the only one, I think. But with the San Fran defense obviously isn't great. It made sense to play him in this one. And again, none of the running backs, other than benching JSM, which he obviously wasn't going to do. It still wouldn't have changed the result, even if he did. Yeah.
Exactly that. No, I'm being a fool. Very much tongue in cheek. So no, don't worry about that. So this week, this was. Oh, there we go. This week is all about it. Yeah. It's also all about my food arriving at the door. So
I'll pick it up. You've got an LOC first here. It's Chris eating a curry live on the pod. So, Viv picks up the win. Gets some much needed points to potentially cause some shocks in the points for Wild Card, depending how Week 14 falls. We will go on to the next game now, which again, Tom's Tyrants. They entered this one again in the playoff race. With a win, they would go one more step closer to securing a playoff spot as well. Wasn't quite as nailed on a clinch scenario as the likes of Gridiron Gang bucking the trend and Forge Flyers, because the points aren't as good for Tom's team. We'll come on to that in a bit. But a win would put him in a very good spot. Whereas again for Ross, Ross actually needed to win as well, similar to Ollie, due to his much lower points. Ross would need to win to stay alive at all in the traditional playoff race, and to be honest, the points forward as well, just because his points are that much lower. Tom did get the win though, so he effectively ends Ross's season and potentially has his suitcase packed for the playoffs. 117 to 89. History of this one all time now. Tom's Tyrants are 10-6 against Ross's team. So it started off well for Tom. He got 34 points from Jordan Love on Thanksgiving. 21 points for Rashee Rice, also on Thanksgiving. DeAndre Swift got 20. Dwayne Achane got 19. So lots of big hitters there, with Saquon still struggling, obviously only getting the 6. On the other side of the board for Ross, again, it's a decent enough day, but just outscored, just beaten by the better team. No bustles or anything here. It's not that extreme. Allen got 19. Low day for him. It's probably mostly the difference. Kelsey got 11. Also on Thanksgiving. Derrick Henry got 16 on Thanksgiving. Alec Pierce 14, nice play there. Aubrey got 11 and the Vikings D 16. It was Zay Flowers though, ending with minus 1.4. Just to punctuate how brutal a game that was for the Ravens on Thanksgiving. But definitely wouldn't have been the difference either way. So with this loss, Ross's season gets to an end. The curry arrives, and Tom has 1 foot in the playoffs potentially.
Finally. I would say this is a long overdue arrival in the playoffs for Tom, really, isn't it? But no, it's a great performance top to bottom for him. Lots of TDs around. It's great to see that running game's going at long last. And KC, I know that KC did really well on that Thanksgiving Day game against the Cowboys, but Rashee Rice has given him an impetus halfway through the season that I think he needed.
Yeah.
Similarly, Jordan Love's not going to score 33 points every week. We've seen him a bit up and down.
Yeah.
But it does seem to be up this week rather than down. But his remaining games, brutal. Brutal could be anyway for him if Tom progresses further. I think for Ross, as we've seen throughout the course of the year, he's got a lot of players on losing teams this week, as you can see. And Josh Allen had a mediocre score. But aside from that, I don't think it was too bad for a team that was carrying 0.14 of a point.
Yeah, so flat.
More. So, but hey, look, lots of double-digit scores in there.
Yeah.
It's got beaten by the better team on the day with that. Those what? How are we talking? 1, 2, 3, 4.5 QB scores. So should be winning.
Indeed. We'll go on to the next game, which didn't really have any playoff intrigue particular to this week, because Pat already sort of eliminated from the normal wildcard scenario, sort of in the point forward race, but only if certain things fall another way. Obviously Ben is long since eliminated and far behind the points forward race. But the name of the game for Pat was get points. He got a win to boot by doing that, 92-61, taking his record against my dad's team to 8-6 all time. Don't choke there, Chris. I'll have to run over quickly if you do. For Pakistan, Brissett got 24. Jameson Williams got 20, which was directly related to the donut you see there for Amon-Ra St. Brown as well, who obviously sprained his ankle early on in that Thanksgiving game. Olave got 11, Trey McBride 14, so just, and obviously some good single-digit scores there as well. So, solid day for Pat. Not lighting the world on fire, but yeah, obviously more about the opposition. Only 61 from my dad's team. Stafford got 16. Monty got 11. Jalen Warren got 10. Chase Brown got 11 as well. And then some low single digits. Justin Jefferson, probably one of the busts of the season, I would say, Chris. Season to forget for my dad, but hey-ho. At least he knew he wasn't really playing for anything at this point.
No, indeed. He definitely wasn't playing for much. You're right, though. And this is really something of serious contrast, because you look at those three running backs. They've done really well this week. It's just everything else that's just fallen apart for your dad this year, and not having that reliable receiver throughout the course of the year has been an issue. You're right about Justin Jefferson. I think the writing was probably going to be on the wall a little bit with that, especially with what is a rookie QB. I know it's his second year, but injured a lot.
Yeah,
and then that matchup was brutal as well. I mean, Christ, I mean, if anyone saw the game, jeez. But yeah, hasn't always had that quality receiving option, and that's hard to be able to get over, especially again if your QB play isn't all there. And with Jaden Daniels injured a lot, he had traded for Stafford, and he's not put his finest performance on this week, even though despite there's been a lot of 30+ games for him. Mm-hmm. Just not in this one. For Pat, I think that the Detroit receiver stack across the course of the year has probably again hindered him. Having said that, he has the converse issue where he hasn't had a quality running back selection for the most of the year.
Yeah,
and that might have helped a lot of other teams raise their game a little bit throughout the course of it. He's got a lot of average receivers that haven't really perhaps performed as expected. And again, at QB, it's been a bit of a roulette. So it's a shame because Ashton Jency's got all the talent just on the wrong team.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this unfortunately is a bit of a high watermark for Pat in a week that he probably should have expected to win.
Yeah, no, definitely. But still alive in the playoffs in the points forward wildcard, depending how things fall, which we'll get to very quickly. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely been buoyed by getting Jacoby Brissett. That's helped Trey McBride, I think, Brissett as well. I think his team has picked up a bit, like you say. Yeah, has been suffering from not having that reliable running back. And then we'll get to the last game of the week then, which was Great Scott, who was still undefeated at 12-0 in this one, facing off against Forge Flyers, who again another team who could more or less clinch a playoff spot with a win here. And boy, you did, Chris, because you got the highest score on the week, so we're going to go ahead and get the buzzsaw out. Put it straight through Jeff. Where's my bottle of champagne? He's finally lost one, 12-1, 146-91 in the history of this one all time now. Not going to be much, but you are 3-0 against Jeff, in fact, Chris. So, wait, no, that can't be right because you've already played in this season. What the hell have I done with the stats? I'm just going to pop this to 2-1 here and see what's that.
Probably that.
Yeah, because he would have definitely beat you earlier in the season. That's fixed. 146 for your team, Chris. Yeah, phenomenal. So 3 games in the trot, basically punches your ticket to the playoffs. But not mathematically sealed, but more or less. So we'll get to that in a sec. Looking at the teams, and obviously Jeff had already won Division League, qualified everything, so he doesn't really care. But Shay, I'm sure he'll be gutted to not get to the season. But I think 12 must be a record for wins to open consecutively a season. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure nobody has done 12 straight, so that's a bit of LOC history for you at least, Jeff. But yeah, Mahomes got 37 for you, Chris, on Thanksgiving. AJ Brown was obviously disappointed a lot this season for you. He's had some good games, and this was certainly one of them, 25 points. Javonte Williams got 14 as well on Thanksgiving. Bijan Robinson as well has obviously been great for your team, 25. But the Seahawks defense, you just mentioned it, 35 points. Absolutely laying a world of pain onto the Vikings. Max Brosma, was it? Brosma?
Yeah,
whatever the hell that guy's name was. He'll never play again. 35 points, shutting him out. For Jeff as well, to be honest, I mean, Jeff's had a week as good as pretty much most weeks he's had this year. He's not really had too many boom weeks, but we'll have to take a look at it in a second because his team has been remarkably consistent. He's definitely not dipped, I think, below 80 points all year long. He's not quite as high as the likes of me, you, and Mike on the points, but he's not a great deal behind. So a solid week. Would have beaten some other teams in the league, but he was just unfortunate he played you. Herbert got 17. McCaffrey got 13. RJ Harvey got 18, and obviously Harrison got the 7. He got injured in this one as well. But I think he may have played through it. Patriots did go 17 as well. So Chris, yeah, phenomenal week for you, and obviously you love to see that when you're knocking on the door of playoffs.
Absolutely that. Yeah, it's a great time to do it, and again to catch up in the points for as well is always useful. Yeah, you're quite right, Nathan. I'm just checking back over Jeff's score over the course of the season, and you're right. He's dipped below 80 points once.
He did have it below 80 points once. Okay.
Yeah, but just the once.
Just the once.
And no, it's 79 as well in week 3, so we're going to go with twice. But even so, you're right. It is remarkable consistency. He bubbles around the 85 to 95 mark most weeks.
Yeah.
And as we know, we've seen teams like that before. I think Ben had a team like that for a few years. When you put points on the board, sometimes they fall your way and sometimes they don't. It takes a good score to be able to beat you, and yeah, having that option to do that is challenging. And so both saw 91 points this week. And I think it could have been more, though. And you look at Justin Herbert, who clearly got injured as well.
Yeah, mid-game for a bit. Yeah,
mid-game. That was unhelpful. We've seen him go big this year. I think probably with a full game, especially that they wouldn't necessarily run as much, but they didn't have to work too hard against the Raiders. Let's be honest. But again, a good score with his key players putting up some good numbers. And that's what you're going to find in the playoffs is that you're going to have to score 100 points to beat him. For me, clearly there's some big numbers in there. That's a bit of a freak show. The Seahawks D is an outlier. I totally agree with you. We're not going to see performances like that very often. It really was dominant, and though they've been a very good unit throughout the course of the year, in the playoffs they play the Colts, the Rams, and then if you get there, the Panthers. So it's it's not going to be quite as straightforward, I think, as one would make out. But for me, seeing some key guys pick up at this particular time, like Mahomes, like AJ Brown particularly, like Bijan, Javonte's been a real consistent thread through most of the year as well. It's great to see, and I can't complain with 146 points. But I know that won't last every week. And if that's even taken down by a third, then that's still a good score.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's some flex in that team as is to be able to continue to do that into the playoffs and beyond. Let's see.
Absolutely. And with that, it's the recap's done. So let's get to the league news so we can get into the playoff. We will start off with the transactions. Just one noble one to call out. The Dream Team, who, again, like I say, could still be alive in the points forward race, depending how things fall. Added Jordan Mason for $23, Chris. With Aaron Jones obviously injuring his shoulder in the game. Viv did have Jordan Mason before that, but he sought fit to splash the cash to get him back. Now, Aaron Jones, I think, from what I've seen, is probably quite likely to play. It wasn't necessarily as serious an injury as was initially thought, but it doesn't really matter. It's fake money. It's fine. It was worth the gamble to get a potential stone back in a good matchup.
His money on.
Yeah, exactly. So standing stats and milestones. So we'll start with the milestones. So Chris, you have climbed to second in all-time wins, above my dad with his torrid season. So you have leapfrogged him since we last had a podcast. And
well, that's good.
Yeah, very good. And Coach Garden Beddoes has notched his 75th career loss since we last had a podcast as well. So check out the Co-Pilot TM Power Rankings. I will try and remember those over the next day or two. Yeah, back to the rest of the standings and the playoff ramifications. So if we start with the standings, then I'll go through what it means. Chris, you can properly tuck into your dinner for a bit. Please do chime in if there's anything interesting. So for the Southampton division, with the win, Tom's Tyrants takes it because Bucking the Trend also lost. So he moves to 8 and 5. Is in position in the division at the moment. But if he's still in a win and in scenario, win would obviously clinch the division and clinch a bye for Tom. But a loss, depending on what happens elsewhere, could even potentially completely knock him out of the playoffs. For Mike, 7 and 6. Obviously tied second in the division, but much superior points to Make Kitchens Great Again, his compatriot. Mike is pretty much guaranteed playoffs either way because of his superior points forward with the points forward wildcard. If he does get a win and Tom Sorrent's loss, he would take the division, knock Tom into one of the wildcard spots, again, depending on what happens elsewhere. Tom could go into the points forward wildcard himself, which we'll get back to that in a second. Make Kitchens Great Again, obviously at the 7-6 as well. They need to win. He needs to win for a chance of playoffs. He needs to win. He also needs Bucking the Trend and Gridiron Gang to lose in order to take one of the traditional wildcard spots. And then we've got Viv at 6 and 7, Ross at 6 and 7, and then Freddie Oakland at 3 and 10 down the bottom there. All three of those are, everybody is in the points forward wildcard that, can't get to it by record. But Viv is the only one of those three that would realistically have a shot at that. Possible division, obviously Jeff still at the top, 12 and 1, coming off his first loss, but he is the regular season champion. He also has the bye division champion as well. Forward Flyers, obviously with the win, 8 and 5, not mathematically sealed playoffs, but winning in for you, obviously Chris, for sure. But even with the loss, you could, in a twist, get pushed into the points forward wildcard, but that's basically as far as you can fall because we'll see when we look at the points forward comparison in a second. Nobody can catch myself, you, or Mike. For my team, it is a little more interesting. So again, for me, it's virtually a winning in scenario. If I win, at worst, I would be in the points forward wild card. But if I lose and Mike loses and Ollie wins, that would knock me out of the playoffs unless that I had a wild point swing between my team and Mike's. And then we've got Pat at 6 and 7, Ixan at 6 and 7, and obviously Ben Estes at 2 and 11. They are all vying for points forward wildcard only, of which Pat is very much in the hunt if Tom gets pushed into that, and Ben's a little further behind there. So there does exist mathematical scenarios where if all of Mike, my team, and Ollie's team lose, that excuse me, some other teams could in theory win, but it would require such ridiculous point swings. It's just not going to happen. So, if we look at it then, as we stand today, obviously it's Jeff and Tom with the buy-in winning the divisions, and it would be you, Chris, and Mike as the traditional wildcards, and myself as the points forward wildcard. That's how it is today. Realistically, what it's going to look like, what the race is you are in. You were just in. Tom's Tyrants, Tom's Tyrants need to lose, and Mike needs to win, as well as Gridiron Gang winning to push Tom into the points forward wildcard. So both Gridiron Gang, Bucking the Trend must win, and Tom's Tyrants to lose. That really does, though, open up the points forward wildcard, and we'll take a look why here, because that would put you, Mike, in the traditional wildcard, and then with my win as well, that would basically make me the points forward wildcard, or some arrangement of that. That would push Tom at worst into the points forward wildcard. Sorry. If Tom lost, that would put Mike in the division. So then Tom is in the points forward wildcard position. You can see it's quite close between Tom and Pat. So if Tom doesn't win and Gridiron Gang and Bucking the Trend both do, there is a bit of a race going on for the points forward wildcard after that. And even the Dream Team at 1,200, about 30 odd points behind them, and possibly Ben, who's about 50 points behind, could potentially make a last gasp grab for the points forward wildcard. But as I say, the only other real interesting one in terms of the machinations is Ollie's team, who lowest scoring team, Chris, with a win and 2 other losses elsewhere, would make the playoffs. It would be ridiculous, but we've seen crazier things, I suppose, in the LOC. So you never.
Yes, we have. That would deserve the ultimate music.
Yeah.
All-time music.
Yes, I think we just have to play that the entire episode. If we look in terms of points against, so in terms of highest conceded, it's Ben. He's the only one over 1,300. Oh, yeah, but sorry, actually going back to the points forward. So, Mike's nearly up, knocking on 1,400. You're not too far behind, and then I'm in sort of the mid-1,300s. So, yeah, we are the clear 3 highest scoring teams. Jeff and Tom and Pat are sort of in the mid-1,200s. Then you've got Viv at 1,200, and obviously Ben at the high, or near enough at 1,200. Then you've got a couple of stragglers, Ross and my dad's team at sort of the low 1,100s. Freddie's team just below 1,100, but then Ollie's team at just over 1,000. Chris, you have to go up to the what's Tom 5th highest scoring team to find a winning record. But there's Ollie at the bottom with 7 and 6. So.
Yeah, that's a weird one. That I mean, you can thank Brock Bowers for his ridiculous 30-point
scores. Oh
yeah,
yeah, absolute rub of the green in terms of schedule, which, as we know with Jeff, has helped his good record, but certainly Jeff's still deserving of a winning record in the playoff spot. But Ollie will be absolutely making daylight robbery if he does make the playoffs, but we shall see. Points against, let's just do that. So points against, Ben is the highest, so obviously understandable that he's got the 6 and 7 record. Pat's just beneath the 1,300 mark as well. I'm at about 1,250. And we're all obviously about 500. So my dad's team's obviously he's not far behind me and Mike as well. Stark contrast in all the records there. It's quite interesting actually that the highest conceding teams, out of the top half of them, only 2 of the 6 are significantly below 500. So obviously some teams doing a good amount of overcoming some points put on them. We turn to the bottom. You're about the middle of the pack as well. You're, to be honest, about the same sphere as there's a good middle ground of sort of the low to midish 1,200s. We go to the bottom again, and no surprises really. We've got 3 either playoff or potential playoff teams, with Tom's Tyrants at the bottom. Obviously, Great Scott as well, and then again Ollie's team, Mate Kitchens Greg, with a good new logo as well, in case you haven't seen it. So, if we take a look at the breakdown, you are at the top, Chris, 94 and 49. So you could go over 100 in this if you obviously have a 6+ win week. I and Mike are not far behind you. Same for Jeff, really. We're all in sort of the high 80s. And then you've kind of got the middle grounds as well. Tom, again, has basically a 500 record in the breakdown. He's obviously winning the division at the moment. You've got my dad's team at 2 and 11, isn't it? Yeah, he's 1683. So again, just highlighting that team is not as bad as the record indicates.
Absolutely not.
No, albeit obviously with the season being more or less over him for a while, he's obviously not been paying as much attention as he probably would have been if he was still alive. Ross's team and Freddie's team, obviously a fair losing record there. And again, a team with a 46 and 97 record in the breakdown, Chris. The worst in the league. Tied worst in the league. This was a fun oddity last week, by the way. So myself and Freddie scored the exact same amount of points down to the decimal. So there was a tie in the breakdown on both of our records.
Wow.
Love it. Love to see it. Love to see
it.
And then we've got the coach score. Ross's team at the top hasn't conceded 100 points on the bench, Chris. Also, hasn't left 100 points on the bench for the season. Can he keep it under 7 or 7 and a bit to maintain it through the year? I'm not sure we've ever seen a sub 100 before. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just pretty good, to be fair.
Mike's just above it, as is Ollie, Viv. They're all just above it. Mix of obviously some good scoring teams, or a gamut of teams in terms of scoring there. So a combination of maybe not so good teams or some good teams getting the points on the field. My dad's team, Tom, Ben, all about the middle, as am I, as is Jeff, as is Pat. You and Freddie, though, actually more Freddie than you, but you are a good second worst in this category, and Freddie is by far and away the worst. You have conceded, left 187 on your bench. Freddie's left 239 points over 12 weeks, Chris. 13 weeks. It's not obviously quite 20 a week, but I think it's definitely above 15 a week on the bench. So these points make a difference. For you, they clearly do not, but for Freddie, quite possibly could have done so. So that's what we've got there. It's a fun race to the end, albeit one that's, well, it entirely depends what happens, Chris. If both my team, Mike's team, and win and Tom's team lose, then it's absolutely complete open season because that points forward wildcard opens up. If one of me or Mike win, it basically seals the playoffs as they are, albeit depending, whether Tom wins or loses as well. Again, dictates sort of what route the playoffs could look like. So a few bit of moving pieces, but let's get on to the previews then for week 14, and we need the jingle to do that.
Cool. Fucking hell.
Was that fucking hell a hot curry or just really excited for the playoff race, Chris? Or both?
Oh, a bit of both, mate. A bit of both. I ordered one from Spice Village down in Barnes Lane, close to where obviously most of us live. Christ, that chicken tikka madras is the hottest thing I've ever had. Honestly, I don't know. They put twice the amount of spice in that bag. Anyway, yeah, I am dead excited for this.
Yeah. So on the slate, we've got Gridiron Gang against Great Scott, which is the Utamaki Belt. It's an intra-divisional week, by the way, and it's a repeat of one of the other divisional weeks from earlier in the season. So yeah, Gridiron Gang against Great Scott, Utamaki Belt. Obviously, Gridiron Gang, needs to win to basically secure a playoff spot. Great Scott in the playoffs. Oaken Golden Bears against Bucking the Trend. Again, Bucking the Trend, pretty much guaranteed, but a win more or less seals it, but completely seals it. The Dream Team against Whiteley Cows. Viv needs to score points in that one and just hope, obviously, the results go his way elsewhere. Tom's Tyrants faking off against Mason Kitchens. Great again. Now, this could be a contender for the market match, but I will let you choose as always, Chris, because winning in for Tom, that's clear. He wins the division if he wins. A loss potentially cascades him into the points forward wildcard race if teams win elsewhere. Also, on the other side of it, Ollie needs to win for a chance at the wildcard spot. As I said again, he needs Mike and myself to lose as well as him winning. Pakistan against Sixan, that's again quite a fun one because both of those are only alive in the points forward wildcard, providing the scenario I said about Tom losing. And then Ben Assesses against Frog Flies. That's probably the only dead rubber on the week because you have already secured the playoffs, Chris. Effectively, it doesn't really matter to you, and obviously, yeah, my dad is done as well. So, Chris, where are you going to go with the final marquee matchup of the regular season for 2025?
You read my mind. It is going to be Tom's Tyrants and Mason Kitchens Great again. It has to be. It has to be.
Yeah, no, good choice, and it's the Winchester Bowl as well, just to add the extra bit of intrigue on that. The second one of the year, of course. So let's take a look. So, yeah, Tom's Tyrants 8-5, win and in for them. Loss. Chaos could ensue. Make Kitchens Great again. They need to win for a chance, and they need other things to happen elsewhere, as I've said. The projections have this one going 93-82 in favour of Tom's Tyrants. It's despite a 30-0 lead for Ollie's team. Not often, Chris, I feel like you see 30 points after a Thursday night game, and you're still projected to only score in the 80s and lose to your opponent, but we'll see abundantly why in a second. Jared Goff, quarterback, 18, so that's part of the reason it's an okay score for a quarterback, but it doesn't like the world on fire. CeeDee Lamb as well got 12, which again, okay score. By his standards, not great, but he did get the concussion in that game, Chris, which is unfortunate timing for Ollie. Elsewhere in the lineup, what's he doing lineup-wise? I think maybe he's brought Aaron Jones in for Brock Bowers. That's a big call after what he did for him last week. I'll let you feast on that in a second, Chris. Other than that, he's unchanged, so he's going with the 30 personnel this week. For Tom's Tyrants, I believe he is unchanged at the moment as well, so 30 personnel for him. Don't know if he will make changes. Probably not. I'd say that might be what he goes with. History of this one all time. Let's bring back my history. Tom's Tyrants are 7-9 all time against Ollie's team, Chris. Yeah, I mean, is Tom gonna seal his ticket to the playoffs here, or could Ollie somehow pull it off, Chris?
So, I think the key thing to remember here is that there's already a 30-point head start, which is great. And I think that when you've got a QB score of 18, it's okay, and a skill position score of 12, which is also fine. So this is good. This is a good thing. But you're dead right when you highlight the Brock Bowers thing, is that who's making the play on Ollie's team right now? You know, it could be Jalen Waddle, though he hasn't quite stepped up as consistently perhaps as we might want. You know, away to the Jets, which, you know, this time of the year ain't great. You know, yes, Aaron Jones is going to play, but again, hasn't set the world alight all year. You know, he scored 2 games over single digits this year. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's playing the Commanders, but I don't know, man. I'm not sure
what we're seeing. That offense sucks. I mean, yeah, it's one of those, and McCarthy's back, and if McCarthy does well, you know, like you say, as you're exactly saying, maybe he could have a good day. But what have you seen about that offense to give you any confidence of playing any of them?
Absolutely that. You know, and then you got a guy like Devin Neal down there who is stepping into some shoes, but again, in offense also ain't great either.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be too scared of Denver because the Raiders are playing in Las Vegas. They want to feed their number one guy. They just played the Chargers in LA, and they didn't do too badly there.
And they are one of the toughest matchups for tight ends as well. Yeah, I'm sorry, you were probably about to get to it.
yeah. No, you're right. You know, and you know, yes, he scored two touchdowns on the day, but you know, that to me, you know, he didn't play well. And it was a 7-10 stinker on earlier in the year.
Oh, it was that stupid Thursday night game that just completely sucked.
It was a non-conventional. It sucked ass. So I kind of get it, but that is the one playmaker you've got, and if you're going to drop your playmaker, you've got to know that the guys behind are going to be okay.
If he sticks to this, and obviously it's not in my interest to say this because I obviously personally hope he loses because then I can just have a cool day, but it's insane to me that you would bench him over Jalen Waddle, who's going to be playing in about 0-degree temperature with Tua, who, as we famously know, does not like the cold. Aaron Jones, who's old and sucks on an offense that sucks. Granted, the good matchup. Bam freaking Knight against the Rams, who are one of the best run-Ds in the league. And someone called Devin Neal. What are you doing?
What are you doing there? You know, quite. When you've also got... can't play it now, but you've got the stack on the bench. I wonder if had it back whether he would play Lawrence against it in a pretty...
With Brian Thomas. Mm.
In a tasty divisional matchup there. Yeah. You know, to me, this projection feels right with the players that are there. And I think we talked a lot about Ollie's team, just taking that apart, but we must talk about Tom's. And, you know, there's, again, a reasonable amount of risk to that because, you know, but who's going to benefit really from Tua not wanting to throw? Well, it's going to be Achane.
Yeah. Swift
against Green Bay. That's going to be a real face-off up there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Philly will forget about it and talk about trash offenses who've got no idea what they're doing. That's probably it. Rice against Houston isn't great. I'll give you that with that defense. But again, if there's one offense to be able to knock that down, it's probably KC and at home as well, which really helps. And then Metcalf, who's used to playing in cold weather no matter where he is at Baltimore, who we've just seen suck absolute ass. So, you know, I have no problem at all with going with Tom this week quite clearly with who he's got. And if you wanted to, you've got Chris Godwin's hanging around on the bench. You've got Keenan Allen's hanging around on the bench. I know not with the QB that you want, but you've got options in case you want to bring them in. Pretty much well set there, and he's just got more talent. You know, you're not telling me that Barkley, Swift, and Achane in that form are better than, you know, Jones, Bam Knight, and Devin Neal are going to beat those guys out. They're just not. So, I'm here for that. I'm here for Tom. Let's go.
Yeah, and in a fitting move, Chris, it's the marquee match of week 14. I've got to use my lock here, and it's coming for Tom's side. I'm locking him up. I don't necessarily especially love Tom's team this week, but look, Ollie's team is the lowest scoring team for a reason. Sorry to keep banging on about it. You're right, they have been a bit improved, obviously getting seeded and stuff back. But when really two of your key players have already played and they've had okay days, and you look at what's left there, I mean, even the Bears at Green Bay, I'm not really thrilled by that D play. Matt Prater's going to I think by all accounts there's going to be some fairly challenging weather in that game too. So
Yeah.
I would be shocked if Ollie won this game. He could have a clunker of a week here. Is what I'm kind of thinking looking at this, but we'll see. I think Tom does enough, as you said. He's got a good running back group. So
I've exceeded all expectations if that team gets to 7-7, by the way, as well. So congrats.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. We'll go to the next game then. So Pakistan against Iksan. So this one, as I say, these two both need Tom to lose, me and Mike to win, to push Tom into the points forward wildcard and then open it up for these two. Pat is pretty much at the level points with Tom. Obviously, Tom having that good week last week steadied him up in a good position if that does unfold. Ben, though, is about, I think, 50-60 behind the two of those, so he has to do some work this week to somehow get a spot. They're both coming off wins, though, for what it's worth. Projections have it going to Ben 98 to 85, which would not be enough in the scenario I just painted out. The scores, though, at the moment, 20 to 14 in favour of Pat. Pat had both Jameson Williams and Amon Round St. Brown on Thursday. They got 9 and 10 apiece. That's okay again, but not amazing. Ben did have the Lions D, though. Obviously, after they got 3 points on Thanksgiving, they did have a much better day with the 14 here. That's obviously helping him with the projections as well. The most exciting thing for Ben, Chris, is he has Joe Burrow back in his lineup for the first time since week 2 or 3, whatever it was. He's also putting in DJ Moore, and obviously Drake May is going to the bench there as well. He's putting in DJ Moore, Dallas Goddard. Rami Dinze will not play this week. Other than that, he is unchanged, so he's given the 20 personnel. On the other side of the board for Pakistan, Pat is unchanged completely since last week, so he is still going with the 11 personnel. The history of this matchup all time, Iksan is 8-7 against Pakistan, Chris. Obviously, Pat has the much better chance of making playoffs if the certain situation unfolds. Will he be able to score enough points, though, even if it does fall that way, is my question to you.
No, you're dead right. With who's left, I agree. That the points won't be there. Do you know what? The best chance he's got to score big points the Broncos did against the Raiders. Yeah. Which tells you a lot. It's not going to be Jency, as we know.
No.
McBride has been, for tight end standards, really bloody good. But playing the Rams, say he's had the week that it kind of falls down. He's going to have to rely on that stack pretty well. And Chris Olave is questionable anyway, and relies on big plays throughout. And even if he didn't go, you can't really rely on those on the bench to fill the gap. So no, I think this is going to be difficult for Pat actually. To attain that, because his two biggest playmakers arguably have already gone. We just need to see if he can ride with pride. For Ben, that's the team that he kind of envisaged at the beginning of the season, I'd imagine. And he probably wishes that he had. But yeah, look, whenever you've got Kyron Williams and Jonathan Taylor in matchups like that, you have to get quite excited and say the Lions D on Thursday was good. In fact, do you know what? Everyone who had get players in that game benefited from that game. Mm-hmm. It was a seriously good fantasy game. But this is right. Having Burrow under center for him is great. Against Buffalo is maybe not that great, but in Buffalo that is. But having a player of that caliber to be able to fill in is ideal, and Drake May has been fantastic throughout the course of the year. You really couldn't have wanted a better fill-in quarterback for somebody like Burrow than him. May's been QB1. So fair. I don't like the pass catches. I think that Christian Watson is talented, really talented, but you don't know what you're going to get week in, week out with him, and he's a big touchdown dependent. I think in that Chicago game, they're going to have to go for it. So he might well be more involved. DJ Moore less so, I would say, but it's going to be enough.
Well, Adonzo is not going to play, so that in theory helps more. How much you're question, but
mate, in Green Bay,
Caleb has not
shit.
been playing well as well, by the way. Like their good record is the run game is doing a lot of the heavy lifting there. He has some of these. It pops in red zone, these great, improvisational plays, but actually the bread and butter between that is not particularly pretty.
Right. Exactly that. So I'm not here for that. And yeah, having 40 points from doing your defense is an advantage. So yeah, here for Ben. I'm down for that. Go for Ben.
Yeah, I'm picking Ben as well, and I have nothing else to add to this one. So we will go on to other than with Quentin Johnston, depending what happens with Justin Herbert, he might be dealing with Trey Lance at quarterback, but we shall see. And I have seen that Chris Olave will play tomorrow, so you can not worry too much on that questionable tag for him, Pat. I didn't do the injuries of the other game, but there are none, so that's fine. So we'll go on to the next game then, which is the one dead rubber of the week. Chris, it's Ben assisted against 4 tries. I say it's a dead rubber because technically you aren't mathematically in the playoffs. You are 99.99999%, but you are officially a winning in scenario. So there's that going. So you've won 3 on the trot as well, by the way. So hell of a job to punch the ticket of the playoffs. That's exactly the way you want to do it. Meanwhile, my dad's lost 4 on the trot, which obviously, I'd liked at some point that he might never get that win, and that wasn't really due to his team, just due to just being really unlucky. But he got 2, it's fine. So can he end the season at high? We'll see. The projections have it going your way. 95-89. Points on the board are pretty much tied, actually, 13 apiece. I'd say he had Montgomery, got 13. You had Javonte Williams, who also got 13. Lineup-wise, Chris, you have brought Travis Etienne in? Or was he already in? No, he was already in, wasn't he?
Yeah, so I am unchanged.
Yes.
From last week, which is nice. Yes. Nice to fit. Nice to be.
Yes, good. 30 personnel. Meanwhile, for my dad's team, I think he's brought... Yeah, Deebo Samuel's come in because he's back from bye, which drops Michael Pittman to the bench, and then he is unchanged beyond that as well. So he's also going 30 personnel. History of this one. Ben assisties are 10 and 12 against you, Chris. You've got the slight edge. With a win here, Chris, you can get a nice sort of 9-5 record. Obviously, seeding-wise, you're locked into the wild card bowl, which I didn't mention actually, but a good spot to mention it is going to be the 3-headed Waypoint Bowl for the first time in LOC history next week, so we've got that to look forward to. Or you definitely for now, but how do you think you're going to get to 9 wins here?
I think I've got a great chance. Yes, Mahomes is playing in one of the tougher matchups, if not the toughest matchup that he's going to face defensively this season.
You've got a couple of tough defensive matchups, actually, just looking out, but you've got good players, in said matchups. So.
I feel good about that. I think the fact that they're playing at home as well.
Absolutely.
That's helpful in prime time. No problem there. The difficulty is that they haven't got an unbelievable amount to play for now. KC are on the precipice of falling out of the playoff hunt.
Yeah, they need the wins. Yeah. And their O-line is banged up to a high hell at the moment, is the worry. It's Mahomes, though. He can probably overcome it, but it's again another worry.
Yeah. I'm happy the fact that he's got the opportunity to be able to use his legs, which is good for me, even if they lose, which I don't care about. The only thing for me is so Ibuka, I was worried about earlier in the week that Evans would be back. And then we'll just kind of take away from that. I have McLaurin on the bench. And I am in 2 minds, but I think that Ibuka might be at present the better play. But McLaurin's there, ready to go. And I see the Giants, I see the Eagles, and I see Week 17 against Dallas. And my eye open. So we'll see. But no, AJ Brown's got a tough matchup as well. Etienne's got a tough matchup. And again, that's one I might sign up for today. And Bijan against Seattle. But hey, look.
It's at home at least. They've got to go west to east, so you never know.
They've got to go big. And I've got Seahawks D, so if they want to go and just rock Kirk Cousins, then please do. On the other side, though, there's a lot of meh teams with not a lot to write home about. Stafford will have a good day, I think, against Arizona. But aside from that, Debo and JJ, this is the game that no one wants to watch. Offensively, that could be grim.
Well, Jaden Daniels is back at least. That's
something.
Mario's been okay as well. But Washington, but the Vikings do is obviously very good. So yeah, it could be, to your point, not great offensive play on either side.
No,
it's actually an interesting matchup because I'm sorry because it's like you've got what should be a pretty good offense against a really good defense. So what is that? Unstoppable object meets immovable force, and then you've got the opposite on the other side where you've got the Vikings offense which sucks and the Commander's D which sucks. So it's extremely movable force against unmoving object.
It could be wild. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know about that. I think that again, that could cancel each other out, which I hope.
Yeah. And
then Warren and Brown into well, Brown should be okay against Buffalo, but yeah, Warren against Baltimore. That feels like again, two defenses clashing up.
Yeah.
Throughout the course. So yeah, Eagles versus the Chargers, of course, as well. That's likely to be okay if Herbert doesn't go. So I'm going to back myself. I can't not, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was the week that Benaces decided to rise up. All the rubbish teams seem to rise up against me, and wins. But keep the faith.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with your team as well. I did have half a mind to pick my dad's team just because I think on this particular week, maybe it shapes up a little bit better with your matchups. But I just think you've got too many good players there that some of them will inevitably overcome the matchups. And, my dad's team's better than the record, but equally he's still 2-11. So, come on. It's got to give. So, yeah, I'm going your team. Injury-wise, again, I think clean bill of health for both your teams. So, we'll go on to my team here, Chris. Now, there is an added bit of intrigue with this, so let's just go with it. So, right, I need to win to get in. Again, it's not mathematical, just me winning on its own, but it basically seals it if I win. Jeff is already in. I have 30 points on the board from Jahmyr Gibbs. I have a projection of 110 to 74, which is only so high because obviously Gibbs has overdone his projection. I'll do the lineups before I come on to my other point. And the history of this one, by the way, is Jeff is 3-0 against me. So
I think I've got an idea what your point might be as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've been waiting for the message from Jeff to be, because I know he messaged to me. I'll finish the lineup, so then we'll get back to it. For my team, so Michael Wilson comes back into the starting lineup with Marvin Harrison Jr. Out injured, which means Mark Andrews has been banished to the waiver wire. I've also brought Kareem Hunt back into the lineup for Trevion Henderson, who's on bye. So that's the change for me. So I'm rocking the 30 personnel again. On the other side of the board for Jeff, he has, I believe, brought Tyler Warren in. I think he's brought RJ Harvey in. He may have even brought Woody Marks in as well, which drops. No, I think Marks already played, but he definitely dropped McCaffrey and Kittle to the bench. So he is going with the 21 personnel, but Marvin Harrison is not playing, Chris. He has a lot of players on bye. He does have Rome Odunze on the bench. He is also on bye. He also has a questionable Justin Herbert in a Monday Night Football game. I know Jeff has been making moves for the playoffs because he's been in the playoffs for basically a month.
Yep.
I don't see really many obvious drops there. Maybe you could say Brian Robinson because it's a bye week. You don't need to handcuff on a bye week. But Jeff might not want to because, someone else could go and snag him. This is a constitutional question we've never had in the LOC, Chris. Now, we obviously poo-poo teams when they forget to change their team because it's not good for the integrity of the league. But hypothetically, if you have players you do not want to drop, they're all on a bye, or you are just getting ready for the playoffs and you're already secured, and you don't want to drop someone and you can't field a full lineup, where does that fall? I don't want to give I'm in the game, so I'm in the hunt. So I feel like I've got an unbiased view, but I appreciate in my position it's hard to be that way. So I'm interested to hear what your thoughts on this.
So for me, I think that you're right. This is a case of a constitutional question is a great way of putting it. Yes, any other week, this wouldn't be too much of an issue because you're losing yourself, right? But actually, you're right here in the sense that by not fielding a team and taking a tactical loss, because that's what this is. It's a tactical loss to keep guys on the bench for your playoff run. Isn't against the rules. First of all. But perhaps going forward, this is an AGM point.
Yeah.
That if you can play a team, and you should play a team, So there are no tactical defeats. You're going to win by far. And I think that this isn't even worth really looking at because you're right. You're so far ahead, and there are going to be at least one, if not two players, including the quarterback, which again is a little bit questionable.
We'll come back to the actual analysis.
whether you should. But yeah, this is an AGM point for next year. I think again, if this was week 10 and this happened, it's nowhere near as highlighted as perhaps week 14 when there's a playoff race being debated. Having said that, though, it's pretty obvious that you were going to get there in one way or another anyway. But that sort of defeats the point because that could have been anybody else this week, where a win is important. So yeah, this is more a more politics than analysis one.
Yeah.
But yeah, especially playing without a quarterback gives you very little chance of winning.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, by all accounts, it sounds like Herbert's probably going to play, but yeah, he's just been officially labelled with the questionable tag.
The other thing is that, obviously with the new rules that we've implemented last year, where you can't, those outside the playoffs can't pick people up. There will only be a very small pool of teams that would go for your players week 15, 16 and beyond.
Yeah.
So there's less of a reason, I would say, to do that unless people were being tactical the other side. I get why you wouldn't do it on both sides, and to be honest with you, I'd probably do the same thing as what Jeff's doing. But yeah, AGM point for next year.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad I let you have your unbiased view because it doesn't make any odds to you at this point being in the playoffs. But that's sort of, for this particular week, is where I came down on it, and I didn't want to just voice that because I'm obviously in the game. But I don't think we have any power whatsoever, even though it's unfortunate for some other teams to mandate that the Jeff would have to field a legal lineup. You're right. I think it's a good one to discuss for the AGN and I don't even necessarily agree with the argument. Well, if it's week 10, doesn't matter because that would be my counterpoint. It's like, well, you never know how it's going to shake out. Obviously, I think my dad did play a kicker that was inactive. I don't think he could have won that week with the kicker that was available. But these weeks do happen where teams don't play all their players, and in other weeks you don't know what impact it's going to have till you get to the end of the season. It's very clear here. But I don't think you should change the rules just because it's clear here, because then it does have this unfair effect for one team and not another, and it's not consistent. But I think you're absolutely right. Maybe the AGM point is that we obviously have a fairly shallow bench block league, and we can obviously talk about this in the AGM, but maybe in extreme cases where all of your players are on bye or injured on your bench, is there some sort of like emergency bench spot where, we had this in COVID where you could in theory drop a player and they were protected from being added, but again, it's about, is that going to be abused or not? And as you say, it's probably a good one for the AGM. This hasn't happened, by the way, for 16 years, so 17 years. So this is a first, but so it's the likelihood of maybe this happening again is probably very small, but you never know.
It's amazing that we're still learning stuff and adapting the rules after so long.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, but back to the analysis of this game. So then if we talk about some of the actual players, because we've just more talked abstractly about the ramifications, and yeah, obviously it would be a fairly, hopefully anyway, easy win for my side if Jeff does indeed not field a skill player and possibly a quarterback as well. We'll start off with Lamar Jackson with me because, yeah, I mean, I don't love sticking with it, but I don't know if you've cast your eye on the free agent quarterback options lately.
I have.
Yeah, and your verdict? Probably you would go with Lamar Jackson still as well and just bite your tongue.
I think, yeah. I mean, you're not going to realistically, just for everybody out there, you're not going with Rodgers not going with Rodgers. Maybe certainly not going with Flacco against Buffalo.
Well, certainly not going with
so. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, it is going to be. So definitely not doing that. So. You're definitely not going with. Oh, crikey! I'm still reeling. Sharks, JJ, no way. Shador against Tennessee might be hilarious. That might be good.
Terrible weather game though. It's going to be snowing in Cleveland again, I think.
Yeah, at least he can move. Yeah, Stroud, Gino, no. Realistically, no. So no, you're going to go with him, and he's got to bounce back at some point.
This is my thinking, and I don't want to get too much into it again because I sort of did it in the recap. He was unfortunate to have as bad a game, I think, as he was last week. Was it going to be a good game? No, I'm not going to sit here and say that. It would have been enough for me to win. You know, he hasn't. Why isn't he got a touchdown in 3 games or something ridiculous now, right? Like you say, something's got to give. And the games before that as well. Played the Jets in one of those. Didn't really need him to do anything to win that game. Those games happen. Then played the Vikings in the game before again. They're a good defense. So, yes, it doesn't look good. Yes, he's clearly probably not healthy. I think there's been some unique circumstances that have just happened to coincide 3 weeks in a row for him to have that really bad run, like you say, in a game where it's more important for the Steelers than the Ravens, but it's still important for the Ravens, obviously, to keep winning to lock up the division. You've got to think something's got to give at some point. So.
Absolutely.
And elsewhere, I've obviously got Sutton against the Raiders. That's great. Wilson's going to be the target hog, and albeit not the best of matchups, but might not matter with the amount of volume he has. James Cook could run rampant through that Cincy defense again in possibly snowy conditions. And Kareem Hunt against Houston. Kareem Hunt's a weird one, Chris, because obviously the Chiefs aren't really a dynamic running offense, but you know where they have been quite a very good offense and scoring offense this year because it's been more their defense, Casey, that's been the issue. He's got quite a lot of touchdowns. I'm fully willing to sit here and concede he is touchdown or bust, or touchdown dependent, whatever you want to frame it. But when you're tied to an offense like him, I almost think you have to throw out the matchup because it just depends, does he get in the end zone or not in a particular game. So that's where I'm at with him. If Kincaid plays, though, I might play him because the Cincinnati defense is a cheat code for tight ends, so we shall see. But yeah, no Mike Evans, obviously. For Jeff's team, he's still got some good players. I mean, there's definitely some damage he can do, Chris, for sure, because he's got the likes of Puka Nacua playing Arizona. He's got RJ Harvey against the Raiders. Even Tyler Warren's obviously been pretty good for him this year, but yeah, beyond that, there's not a lot there. And as you say, I've already got the 30-point lead courtesy of Gibbs, so. Yeah, it's I'm picking my team as well. Right, we'll go on to the next game then. This is the penultimate game. Yes, it's going to be a long one today, but it's fine because it's week 14. So we've got Oakland Golden Bears against Bucking the Trend. Obviously for Mike, like I say, with his 50 points above me, and obviously he's got some points above you, but where you're in already, it doesn't matter. But with his 50 points above me, he's virtually guaranteed playoffs by any stretch. It would have to be a very, very specific set of circumstances to knock him out. He is projected to win anyway, though, and if he wins, he can still get a division and a bye. So Mike does have a bit to play for if Tom loses. He's projected to win 92-90, and he currently has a lead of 24-14 over Freddie, courtesy of Dak Prescott with 20. Pickens only got 4 though, Chris, and Jake Bates actually had a pretty good day for Freddie to make this prediction tight with 14. The history of this one, all-time, Bucking the Trend are 1-1 all time against Freddie's team. In terms of the lineup changes, so Freddie has indeed brought in Jacoby Myers, and he has dropped Wan'Dale Robinson to the bench as he is on bye in a corresponding move. Currently, he has Kamani Vidal in the lineup, Chris, but O'Marion Hampton is being activated off IR, who he does have on his reserve, so watch the space on that one. For Mike, he is bringing Bucky Irvin. He's listening to your call, Chris. Into the lineup, and he's dropping Keyshawn Judkins to the bench in a corresponding move. Yeah, so he's going with the 20 personnel. Over to you, Chris, because you've clearly got some thoughts on that one.
Yeah. Now, I've obviously not been all over the weather situation in Cleveland, Ohio. And why would I be?
You tell me you don't check out NFL weather when you're making your lineup decisions?
Indeed, yeah, so I probably should. Having said that, though, as we know, when a snow game happens, running backs thrive.
Yeah.
And I mean thrive, because it's the only way of moving the ball. You end up with some ridiculous ones. I remember it was that ridiculous snow game in Buffalo a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Shady McCoy went off. And in those days, 20-point plus scores were ridiculous. You know, you never really saw it. But realistically, that could be, that could be a fun game to one watch and two be part of. I hate to say it though, that Bucky looks all right, and I think that's probably going to be, the right.
Yeah, I mean, over Keyshawn, I think, but. speaking about it, like you're saying, passing games getting ruined by the weather. Is there a scenario where Mike bunches Jamar Chase? Sorry,
Yeah,
I beat you to the punch here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Go on, take it away.
Yes, exactly that. You know, those players. I was exactly going to go there. Jamar Chase against Buffalo, with Burrow being back for a week. Is this going to be? And that could be boom or that could be bust. And I think that maybe, if the weather remains the same, that's where you should go. Just my thinking. Clearly yours too. But other than that, the team's top to bottom is great. I mean, you can't knock it. Shame about Pickens on. I talked earlier on about everybody getting something out of the game on Thursday. George Pickens did not get anything out of the game on Thursday night, sadly. But everybody else, say, Jason against Atlanta like it. Jacobs should be fine. Say Bucky should be fine. Lutz kicking in the dome should be fine, or in Vegas should be fine. And the Texans against KC, who should get some joy out of that game somewhere, could be all right. So yeah, I think he probably had it back. He's probably got one running back too many, but it's going to take a bold decision.
Yeah.
On the other side, though,
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. No, I was just going to say he could have flipped Chase into Pickens' spot, and then in hindsight, and then put Judkins in over Pickens, but there's no way you're doing that in any.
You'll go with that stack, aren't you? And you're just in that game on that day. Yeah. But yeah, whilst on the other side, you look at that. Yeah, Hampton could come back in, but again, what sort of conditions he going to be in?
That ruins, I think, both him and Vidal. Well, not ruins, but
fantasy value.
Yeah, if you're only going to play one, and I don't think you're pulling any other guys that Freddie's got out there to play both of them. So
probably not. No. Walker's got limited value with Charbonnet coming more and more as part of that offense. Breece Hall's been okay in fits and starts. Will he be all right again at home against Miami? I think that should be one that you'd imagine that they would look to lean on the run. I don't hate Myers again in that Indy game. I think that's fine. He's playing against a better secondary, and Devontae Smith. Again since the bye, pretty underwhelming. And again against the Chargers, where they seem to be feeding AJ Brown some serious yardage. Couple that with Bo Nix, who again, Freddie's had an on-off relationship with for most of the year. That offense is a weird one, but against Vegas, who cares? Because that isn't a real team. So I think Mike's going to win, but I think that it might be closer. I think as the projections suggest, but at the same time, it's not going to stop me locking in this week just because.
Okay, yeah. Let me get the. There you go.
Let's go, and I trust his selection. Trust his selection conundrum. Yeah, if it's snowing, even if it's not snowing, the Titans suck so bad.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Freddie is watching along. Hey, Freddie. Freddie says, "I agree. Bench Chase. Yeah, we missed out on one other key important point of this. It's the trade. It's the trade. And I can't remember if because this is the repeat of the week. I can't remember if they played each other once before, if this is the same. But anyway, yeah. Same here. Bucky the Trend should win this game. It would take, I think, a lot for Freddie. Just the player quality and the matchups on the other side aren't necessarily to the same level. So, but he could make it a game. We'll see. But yeah, Mike to win for me as well. And we'll go on to the last game of the week then, which probably a poor one to end on, really, in terms of playoff intrigue. But Viv just needs to pile up the points and hope stuff falls his way elsewhere to have a chance to point forwards wildcard. Ross is just playing for fun at this point in the Lockheath Bowl. So the projection is going in Ross's direction, though. 100 to 87. He already has 19 points on the board, Chris, courtesy of Brandon Albury, who's just knocking in 63-yarders for fun. And elsewhere in his lineup, he is unchanged, so he's going with the 21 personnel. Meanwhile, for the Dream Team, he is also unchanged, I believe, so he is going with the 20 personnel. The history of this matchup all time, the Dream Team are 9-5 against Ross's team all time. I think both these teams have pretty much a clean bill of health among the playing players. Viv probably can't pile up enough points here, can he, to do anything dramatic in the points forward race if Tom loses and that scenario develops, can he, Chris?
No, I think so. The problem is there's too many good defenses, and for the opposition on Viv's, you look there and you think, right, well, Hurt's difficult opposition. Likewise with Collins, likewise with Rodriguez. Likewise, Monongai might have some joy there.
Yep.
Same as the kicker of Diaz, not too bad either. But there's no, again, none of the pops. Devontae's been great, and I have to say, give him credit where credit's due as a pickup. That's been one of the more consistent ones. Everyone wishes they had a receiver that scored double-digit points every week.
I mean, it's wild, is it? Because I think it's fair to say he slid on draft day to middle round 5, or I can't remember. I think somewhere around 5. And I hilariously chose Tony Pollard over him, which in hindsight is a terrible decision. Although I did turn Pollard intended, obviously. But I mean, it's easy in hindsight. But again, at the time, all of the news coming out of the Rams was Stafford in his back, and he hadn't thrown a pass for until the middle of August or something. So, and particularly with Adams as well, he was going off some okay seasons with the Raiders and obviously then with the Jets. But it was fair to wonder if he still had it at that elite level. And yeah, you completely said it. It's been a great draft pick for Viv, to be fair to him. Sorry, continue.
No, absolutely no, and that's the problem here, is that it's just there's a lot of, say, struggling offenses or struggling players, but when you're having to hang your hat on someone like Carmenongai, man, tough.
He's been pretty good. I mean, they're so run heavy, it doesn't matter.
Well, I know, but who knew at the beginning of the season, one, who he was, and two, that would be the thing. But is my point. But yeah, on paper that team should be doing way better than it actually is. And yeah, that's my critique of that. Also, a lot of teams playing away, and I've got a problem with that. On the other side, you look at Josh Allen there. Playing Cincy, I think that's good, especially at home, especially with his skill set. But aside from that, I mean, you've got a misfiring Baltimore with Flowers and Henry. Maybe that's where they end up falling back on if Lamar doesn't quite do it.
Mm-hmm.
Partly against Cleveland, but as we spoke about, if the weather's particularly bad, although I wouldn't want to play against Cleveland's front in any weather.
Well,
let that one.
This is the thing, because I feel like it can go two ways when you have a really bad weather game like that. You have, to your point, the games where they go so run heavy and running backs just have an absolute field day and a ridiculous day, or if the other defense is actually competent, they just absolutely zero in on the run game because they don't have to do as much as the pass game, and then there's just no offense at all. That's probably where I'm leaning more towards.
I think the Titans can't get anything going, let alone in matches like that. So no, you're dead right. And Alec Pierce, who is a fancy roulette wheel, let's be honest, but he's exciting to watch, and I get why he put him in fantasy team.
The Jags suck against boundary receivers as well this year, which he is one of those. So that might. Although Danny Dimes obviously is not. With his broken fibula, not playing so well as late.
Not quite there. Vikings D against Washington's all right. Do you know what? In this instance, I'm actually going to go with Ross's team just because. I don't think that's trolling either. And obviously, Brandon, the GOAT on Thursday night. By the way, let's talk about that kick. Fuck.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he's a freak. He's a freak.
Yep, he's amazing. Just because we've agreed on all the others, I'm gonna go with the Dream Team here, because I think actually this is probably generally one of the more 50-50 games we have potentially across the league this week. Not to say there aren't potential competitiveness in the other games. But I think there's a bit to like on both sides. You kind of said it with Ross's team. Kind of needs the Ravens, I think, to come through, because other than maybe Josh Allen, but again, the weather might even restrict him a bit. I'm not really seeing where a great deal of the rest of the points are going to come from. So, whereas Swift's team, I think, at worst, should have a solid day and even potential for a good day. So, yeah. And that is it. That's the last regular season game previewed for the 2025 LSC season, Chris. So, next time we'll be back, hopefully next week. We'll obviously be recapping these and then previewing the Wildcard Bowl, the new three-headed Wildcard Bowl for the first time. Exciting.
Christ. I can't believe it's got this far so quick. You know?
It does go, doesn't it? Yeah, I can't even believe that Thanksgiving was last week already. So.
Yeah, I can't believe this is like the 12th year we've been doing this.
12th? You want to chuck on a 5 onto that, like 17?
Well, as the podcast, that is, you know, the league itself, yeah, fine.
True.
Let's do 5 on it. But as a report, we are long term now.
Yes, we are indeed.
And you're still listening, people. I can't believe you're still there.
Yeah, we love it. Clearly we're doing something right, Chris. If you want to watch the games together this week, you can't do it at mine, but you can do it at Tom's if you'd like to do so. So I'm going. If anybody else wants to go, you're welcome. And as I said, I'm happy to drive people there from the White Lear adjacent areas if you'd like to go. But with all that's left beyond that, Chris, is to say thank you to you for joining us once again. I think it's been your first episode in a while. Yeah,
it has been a joy as always.
Yeah, good to have you. And for one last time in the regular season, have a great weekend, everybody. Best of luck in your matchups, unless you're playing me, of course, Jeff. Goodbye, everybody.